In this lecture, we will solve an example problem of a thin-walled closed cross-section with three cells to understand the theory that we have discussed in the last lecture module. So here we have this rectangular cross-section with three identical cells. The entire cross-section have a uniform thickness of T. So the length of each, the midline or the center line length of each cell is A, as shown in the diagram. So as we have done earlier, this shaded portion is the hollow portion. So this is the okay, and let me name the portion. So these are the junctions. Okay, so let me say that this is portion 1. So the portion 1 is from here to here. Okay, and let me call this as portion 2. This is portion 3. This is portion 4. This is 5, and this is 6. Okay, now what I do is that I take a section XX and try to see the deformed shape of the membrane. So let me tell this that we are going to solve the problem using two approaches. In the first solution, we will not assume we will not assume the deformed shape based on the symmetry of the cross section. We will take an arbitrary deformed shape of the membrane and solve the problem. We will in the next part we will solve this problem by considering the symmetry that the section has, and we will see that how easily can we get the solution by considering the symmetry of the section. So in the first case, we are not considering symmetry. So if I draw the deformed shape of the membrane, in section XX, without assuming symmetry, without considering symmetry, okay, so the deformed shape is going to be something like this. So from this deformed shape, we get that H4 is going to be H1 plus H2 plus H3. Okay, which after I'm not going into the intermediate steps because we have solved enough problem and we know the intermediate steps. So we can say that H4 from geometry is equal to H1 plus H2 plus H3, and which implies that Q4 is going to be equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. So let me mark this equation and write this as 1. So this is my equation 1. Now we see that I will not, there is no junction. Even let me name the junction. Why not name them? So name the junction as A, B, C, D. So the junctions are A, B and C, D. Okay, now there in any of these four junctions that we have in the cross section, Q4 is not related to Q1, Q2 and Q3. Okay, so rather if I take the junction D, Q4 will be equated to Q3 and Q6. Okay, so this one section XX is not enough and we have to take another section of the cross section. So let us take this another section, which is going to be, let me take this another section which I say as YY. Okay, so I take this YY section and try to draw, so this is YY. Okay, and try to see what happens when I take this YY section. So the deformed shape of the membrane is going to look something like this. Okay, so this is going to be H1. So see the YY section. YY section is cutting through portion 1, portion 2 and portion 5. So H1, this is H2 and this is H5. So from this, what do we get? We get that H5 is equal to H1 plus H2. Okay, so this is another, and this therefore implies, as we know, that the shear flow Q5 is going to be Q1 plus Q2. So this is another important expression and we write this as equation 2. Now from equation 1 and 2, let us try to see how the shear flow will be directed in the cross section. Okay, let me draw the shear flow. So let me take Q1 in this direction, in a clockwise direction. Let me take Q1 in clockwise direction. So this is Q1. So this is Q1, and so at junction A, Q1 plus Q2 is equal to Q5. So the input at junction A is Q1 plus Q2. So this is Q2 and therefore this is your Q5. Okay, which is equal to Q1 plus Q2. Now at junction B, what is the input? Input is Q5, and let me say that Q3 is in this direction. This is Q3 and therefore this is Q4. This is Q4. Okay, so this is how the directions of the shear flow will be across the different portion of the cross section. Therefore Q6 is going to be again Q4 minus Q3, which is going to be Q1 plus Q2. So this is Q6. Okay, now let us see whether at each junction the input is equal to output. So let me just erase this off. And let me see what is happening at different junction. So at junction A, what do I have? At junction A, the input is Q1 plus Q2 and the output is Q5, which is equal to that, and that is satisfied by equation 2. So that is done. So let us see what is happening at B. At B, the input is Q5 plus Q3, which is Q5 is in turn Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3, and that is equal to Q4, which is the output, okay, which is satisfied from equation 1. So this is also satisfied. So at junction A and at junction B, the input shear flow is going to be equal to the output shear flow, and we see that this is in accordance to the geometry of the deformed membrane that we have considered. Okay, now let us see what is happening at junction C and at junction D. So what is happening at junction C? At junction D, let us see what is happening. At junction D, the input is Q4, whereas output is Q6 plus Q3. Now Q6 is again Q1 plus Q2. Okay, so we see that this is also satisfied. Now let us see at junction C. At junction C, Q6 is the input and that is equal to Q1 plus Q2. So that is also satisfied. Okay, so therefore we see that the condition that shear flow should be conserved at the junction is being satisfied, and in accordance to the geometry of the deformed membrane that we have considered. Now let us look into the applied torque. So from the for applied torque, I can either use the, so applied torque is equal to twice the volume of the deformed membrane. Now to find the relation between the applied torque and the volume of the membrane, I can use any one of the deformed shape. I can use this as well as I can use this. Both of them are going to give me the same result. So for this case, let us continue with the deformed shape in the XX direction, XX section, and try to write down the expression for applied torque. So MT is going to be H1 into 3A. Since the area of each of the cell is equal to A, therefore I can take this as H1 into 3A, H2 into 2A, and H3 into A. So this can be written as 3H1 plus 2h2 plus h3 into A. Now I can further write this as twice of that. Sorry, there is a 2 times here. So I can further write this as 2a t 3 tau 1 plus 2 tau 2 plus tau 3 is equal to the torque. So let me call this as equation 3. So if I can find out tau 1, tau 2 and tau 3, my problem will be solved. Okay, where A is nothing but A square. Now let us try to find out the expression for tau 1, tau 2 and tau 3. So let me just erase this off. And from Brett-Petho's theorem, that is tau ds is equal to 2ga theta. So let me use it for cell 1. Okay, so this, let me call this as cell 1, cell 2 and cell 3. So for cell 1 I have tau 1 into 3a. Okay, I am taking the clockwise direction to be positive. So I have tau 1 into 3a minus tau 2 into a is equal to 2g a square into theta, which is going to give me 3 tau 1 minus tau 2 is going to be 2g a theta. Now let us see what is happening for cell 2. That is going to give me tau 2 into a plus tau 5 into a minus tau 3 into a plus tau 6 into a is equal to 2g a square theta. Okay, so if I simplify that, in place of so I have tau 2a, in place of tau 5 I can say it to be tau 1 plus tau 2a minus tau 3a. In place of tau 6 I can write it as tau 1 plus tau 2a, and that is equal to 2g a square theta, which is going to give me 2 tau 2, 3 tau 2. So I have 3 tau 2 plus 2 tau 1 minus tau 3 is equal to 2g a theta. So I have one equation here, I have second equation here, and let me write down the equation for cell 3. Now what is cell 3 going to give me? Cell 3 is going to give me tau 3 into a plus tau 4 into 3a is 2g a square theta. Now in place of tau 4 I can write that as, so tau 4 is tau 1 plus tau 2 plus tau 3. So this can be written as 3 tau 1 plus 3 tau 2 plus 4 tau 3 is equal to 2g a theta. So this is the third expression that will come handy. Okay, so let me call this as 4a, this as 4b, and this as 4c. Now from 4a, 4b and 4c, if I solve for tau 1, tau 2, tau 3, I am going to get tau 1 as, if I solve for this, I am going to get tau 1 as tau 1 is going to be 5 g theta a by 7, tau 2 as 6 g theta a by 7, and tau 3 is going to be minus g theta a by 7. Okay, so if I so this is the value of, so this is this solutions I am getting from equations 4a, 4b and 4c, solving equation. Okay, now so the solution is done. So once I know tau 1, tau 2, tau 3 in terms of g theta, I can express the applied torque mt also in terms of g theta, and that will give me the torsional rigidity, which I am not trying to do here because that is pretty straightforward and you can always do that. So what I am going to do is that I am going to draw the shear stresses and see how they are going to look like. So let me just erase this off. And okay, so tau 1 is going to be in the same direction that we have plotted, because tau 1 has come out to be positive. So this is tau 1, this is tau 1, which is going to be 5 g theta a by 7. Tau 2 came out to be positive, so therefore this is also in the same direction. So this is tau 2, which is g theta a by 7. Now tau 3 is in the negative of that direction. So what we have taken, it should be negative of that. So we have taken initially tau theta in the upward direction. So since the negative sign has come, so this is in the negative direction, which is going to be g a theta by 7. Okay, and therefore Q5, which is tau 1 plus tau 2, and therefore this is going to be 6 g theta a by 7, and this is going to be in this direction and this direction and this direction, and this is going to be 5 g theta a by 7, and this is going to be 6 g theta a by 7. So this is how the shear flow is going to look like. Okay, so so this is the solution of the problem. Okay, so now let us try to see. So this is the first approach where we have not assumed any symmetry. Okay, now let us see whether we can assume symmetry and get the solution in a much quicker form. So let us try to do this. So let me just erase this off. So therefore deform shape in section XX considering symmetry is going to look something like this. If this is X, the deform shape considering symmetry, okay, so this is going to be H1, H1, H2 and H2, okay, by considering symmetry. So if this is the condition, then we can very easily say that so if I assume this symmetry, then the solution is going to become very straightforward. So the applied torque MT is just going to be 2 into H1 into 3A, sorry, H1 into 3A plus H2 into A, as simple as that. Okay, so that is going to be 2A 3H1 plus H2, right? And similarly, if we apply, and this further I can write this as 2A T 3 tau 1 plus tau 2. Okay, so similarly, if I apply Bredspethos theorem, I can take for cell 1 I can say it is 3 tau 1 A minus tau 2 A is going to be 2 g theta A. Okay, and then for cell 2, I can easily say that it is going to be, so since it is symmetric, I can say that tau 2 is equal to tau 3. Therefore, I can say 2 tau 2 A plus 2 tau 5 A is going to be 2 g theta A square. Tau 5 is going to be nothing plus tau 1 plus tau 2, okay, which is going to give me 2 tau 2 plus 2 tau 1 plus 2 tau 2 is going to be 2 g theta into A, and this is going to lead me to 4 tau 2 plus 2 tau 1 is going to be 2 g theta A, right? So if I solve this equation 1 and this equation 2, I will get the same solution for tau 1 and tau 2 that I have got earlier, and that can be substituted and we can get easily the solution for the shear stresses. Okay, and then if we substitute tau 1 and tau 2, then MT turns out to be 32 g theta a cube t by 7. Okay, so by substituting equation, let me call this equation 2 and 3 and this as equation 1, we can always say by substituting solution of equations 2 and 3 in equation 1, we get this solution. Okay, so we can see we had to follow a very lengthy process in the earlier approach to get the value of the shear stresses and the torsional rigidity. But if we assume, or sorry, we shouldn't say assume, if you consider the symmetry of the cross section, then we get the solution in a much quicker and easier way. Okay, so the moral of the story is that if a cross section has any form of symmetry, then that symmetry should be considered into the deformed shape of the membrane, which will ease the solution to a considerable extent. So with this, I will end this lecture. This lecture also is the end of the topic of torsion. So in the next lecture, we will move into an entirely new module, which is going to be the bidirectional bending of thin walled cross section. So thank you.